Hey guys, it's Mike, and I wanted to start a video series that will help you go from Access beginner to Access expert. And today I just thought I would cover just kind of the basics of data types and how to get started in Access and what Access is. So that's where we'll start today, and stick around for the whole video. I've got a quiz at the end for you. Microsoft Access is an information management tool that helps you store information for reference, reporting, and analysis. Think of it like searching for a book at a bookstore. The store has its own unique form where you can enter information into. The search bar and the information you put in there is a query that looks up information that is stored in tables of data. These tables contain data on the book you are looking for and then generate a report on where you can find it. Access can do all of these things, but you have to start by putting information into a table. That's where we'll start in this video. Now let's get started with Access. Here's the scenario. My teaching assistant, Corinne, has developed quite the reputation for training people. She wants to start her own Microsoft training school. As her school continues to grow, Corinne wants to keep track of information about students, including whether or not their GPA is high enough to be enrolled in such an elite school. So we're going to help Corinne create and maintain an Access database to store data about her potential students. So we'll get started creating our first table, and what I like to do is go to the Create tab and click on that, and then just click on Table Design, and that's going to take us into our design view, and then you can see the cursor kind of flashing within the field name box. If you've used a lot of Excel in the past, a field name is basically a column header, but in Access, it's not easy to create data and just kind of plug it in. You have to create the field and then also define what data type it is, which is actually a great feature of Access because if you have a colleague to mess things up, they could come to your Excel worksheet and just kind of, like if there was a whole column of numbers, they could just put in text and really mess that up. So Access won't let someone like that do that. If you put in the data type and it doesn't match with the field name, you have a little bit of control what kind of data goes in each column. So for this one, let's just pretend we want to track the names of the students. So we'll just type in first name in this first field name box. So that's where we want to start. Now, most of the time, you're just going to be using short text. Short text is basically anything that you could enter inside of an Excel cell, but there's other options too. If you have a really long note or a memo, so this used to be called memo in earlier versions of Access, you could attach, a long text. You've got numbers, large numbers, date and time extended, currency, auto numbers. Yes and no is kind of a cool option because it has a drop menu for like not just yes or no. You could do like male, female, that kind of thing. So you would find that there. OLE object, that's if you want to insert pictures. Let me know in the comments if you guys want to see what that is, but you could also do a hyperlink. I wouldn't say the last two, attachment and calculated, you use a lot in Access. Like it's very rarely used, so I won't really go over that. But if we press enter, it goes to our description, and it's sort of like alt text. It's not necessary that you fill this out, but if you want to add some more detail about that data type, you could. So let's just keep going in our example here. We'll do last name as the next field name when we're tracking students. And again, that's short text, so we'll press enter. We don't need a description. And then maybe in this third field name, we can see how many students are actually enrolled or if they are enrolled. And then for this one, I could just type in a Y instead of using the drop down arrow. So it's the yes or no option. And then I'll press enter twice to get down to the fourth field name. Now this next field that we're going to insert is a little bit tricky because it's GPA. So I'll type that in. It's the student's GPA. And it's tricky because it is a number, so we can change this, go ahead and change this to number, but it's not a long integer because a long integer type of number won't let you put in decimals, but it will put any whole number up to like 2 billion or something like that. So it will let you put in a lot of numbers, just not decimals. So when we click here inside of the field size, we want to change this to double, which is going to allow us to add some decimals. Don't really worry about the other ones. You either just need a long integer or double, which would allow you to add decimals. So we'll do double here, and that's going to allow us to put decimals when we start creating our table. All right, so let's see what else we can add. We can add the date of birth. So that would be a different type of data type. That would be a
date and time. And if you want to pull that up really quickly without pressing the drop arrow, I could just type in D and that pops up, and then just press enter twice to get to the next field name. The next field name could be tuition, and that could be currency. And then maybe we want to do a hyperlink to their LinkedIn account. So we'll just type in LinkedIn and then just type in H, and there's our hyperlink. So for this last field name, we'll enter a phone number. So we'll just type phone as a field name. And then you'd think that the phone number would be a number, but it's actually not. It's actually a type of short text, but we can put an input mask. So there's an input mask option down here. And I've already got it because I was playing around with the different input masks, but this is how you would, the input mask basically just changes the look of what this will look like. And you have to save the table first, and then just choose the options that you need. So if it was a postal code, you choose the second one, social insurance number, this one, but we want this one to have the first 3 digits with a parentheses around it, and then after the 555, we want a hyphen in between these 3 digits and these 4 digits. So that's the one we want. Once you select it, click next, and then yeah, just finish. There's nothing else we have to add, so finish. That's it. So again, telephone number, not a number data type, but more of a short text with an input mask. But now we're all set to view our table or save it. So if you want to save your table, now that we've got all those fields in there, we can just click view, and it's going to ask if you want to save. And there we have our table. Now I won't spend too much time on how to enter records and little tricks like that, moving around numbers and text, because most people can probably figure that out. But I do have a cool trick. It's called the ditto trick, and I'll show you that. So I'll create 2 records, and then I'll show you how to use the ditto trick to save you some time. So let's put in the first person's name, or the first student, and we'll use Brandon, my colleague, and we'll enroll him because no one needs this course more than he does, and give him a 1.8 just to be generous. Date of birth, I'll do 1/1, and then 88, which will fill out to be 1988. And then I don't know how much Curtin charges for classes, but we'll say it's a pretty hefty price of $450. And then just kind of make up a website. So, and then telephone number. What's nice, because with that input mask, now we just type in the numbers here. Don't have to put any hyphens or anything. Okay, now we'll go to the next line. I just press entered, and you can see this little star every time we put a new record. The star pops up, and then it tells us which line we're on currently. So, I don't know, I'll just make up a name, Marilyn. First one that came to mind. We won't enroll her yet. She's doing better. And then again, so 1, and then, I don't know, 80, 84. Now, here's the ditto trick. Okay, so press Control. If you have like duplicating values, so like this one, everyone's paying the same price for tuition, so it would be Control quotation mark, and then when you press that, it automatically knows that, okay, so it's just going to repeat the value from the top, and you just keep doing that. So it's called the ditto trick. If it's the same thing, we can do it here too. So that, and they probably don't have the same number, so that'll be different, but that's the ditto trick for you. And I forgot this one. And that one. Okay, sure. Now we'll move on to what a primary key is and how we can add it to this table. Think of a primary key as this Tim Hortons rewards card. These stores are the tables. So I'm in this one store, and I can use my primary key here, and it has a unique number. And then it can be linked to a different Tim Hortons location, and I can still use that very same card or primary key. So a primary key, what it does is it creates a unique field if there's repeating values. So if there's 5 mic orders, or I keep ordering the same thing, the number on the back of the card will be unique, and it also creates a relationship between tables, and I'll explain more about what primary keys do in the next few videos. Now let's say we want to add a primary key to the fields in this table. The best thing to do would be just to delete the records that we created. There's another way to do this using queries, but I'll get that in the next video. It's a little complicated, so that we don't have to delete rows, we can just copy the structure and then have a brand new table that would take out these 2 rows, but that's involving queries, and that's for next week. We haven't got too far, so it won't take too much time to add in these values again. So I'm just going to delete these first few rows so that we can add in a primary key. So I've got this row selector, and then you can just say delete record, and it'll delete that one, and delete that one too. So now we can go into our table design and then add in, we'll add it down here, but then we can move it later. So we'll call this, Corinne wants to give her students a unique student number or student ID. And we're going to use auto text at first. So auto number. And then we can make this the primary key. But we have to, usually when you're using a primary key, it's best to have it go first. So we'll move this up. Now that I've got this row selected, I'll just pull this all the way up to the top, put it in front of first name, and I'll make this the primary key. So again, this is great when we're linking things to other tables. If the same student ID was in some other table, the primary key would recognize that. So that's why we would add this primary key here. And then when we go to table view, we'll want to save. And now that new field is in there, and we can add some student IDs in there as well. So a primary key is great in this example because you could have somebody who has the same first and last name, and you'd want to have a unique identifier. That's basically what the primary key would do. It gives someone a unique value, whether they had the same kind of values throughout the other fields. So now that we've created our primary key, I don't even have to do anything. I don't have to create a number. What I can do is just start adding records in, and it'll just create the unique student ID for me. So let's add those names back in. And it won't fill out the whole record. I'll just press the down arrow and just start pressing the next student. So every time I add a record, it'll add a unique ID. So that's great. I don't even have to do that. And this is great, you know, as a startup school, I don't have to come up with unique numbers. The primary key will do that for me. Quiz time. Now for a bit of a trick question for you guys. Without seeing the table design view, what type of data or what data type did I use for the health card field? Let me know in the comments if you can figure it out. So if you want to take your learning a step further, I've got a Kahoot quiz in the description box below this video. Next week at the same time, Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern, I'll cover Access queries. So it's going to be a little bit more challenging than this video, but I'll walk you through what queries are and how you can use them to solve some problems in Access. So we'll see you then. Take care. Bye.